Hi everyone, Janie here. Welcome back to my garden. I have such a treat for you all today. I want to introduce you to Dr. Mike Ochoa of Move with Dr. Mike. He has a YouTube channel that focuses on strength, exercise, mobility. Mike is a physical therapist. So Mike and Jason and I used to work at the same place and we ditched you, right?
Yeah, I still miss you guys though.
But you decided to start your own channel.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I got a lot of questions with people just really wanting to stay strong and injury free. So I figured, why not share the information and knowledge that I've learned with the population?
Yeah.
And I've got a lot of good feedback from a lot of people.
You make excellent videos. And I can say, Jason and I both can say that as physical therapists, we know what's right and we know what's wrong. And Mike, you're good. You're way better physical therapist than I am, which is why he is going to be doing injury prevention for gardeners.
Yes,
right?
yes, and I would say that I'm going to have a lot of fun today because a lot of the times my patients have various hobbies that they love to do, and not that I have a lot of experience with gardening, but I could definitely provide my professional input on, body mechanics and maybe some stretches or exercises that gardeners can do to keep them injury free and to continue to do the things that they love to do. So.
Yeah. And this is a video that I've been getting lots and lots. I've been talking to you about this, Mike.
Yeah.
I've been getting lots and lots of requests about it. And so I haven't done physical therapy in a while, in a couple years now. So I don't feel confident. I just don't feel like it's appropriate, since I don't consider myself a physical therapist anymore, to film a video like this. But I know how many of you wanted a video. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you for
Glad
coming
to help
here.
you guys out.
And I wanted to say, so your channel is really, really interesting because it is a fitness channel, it's an exercise channel, but you are you're not catered to the 20-year-olds, right?
No, and a lot of people get intimidated because they see me and I really enjoy, fitness and working out, but I really enjoy helping people just do the things that they love to do. And whether that's gardening, whether that's working out, whatever hobby that they develop over time, my job is just to keep them injury free and strong. I mean, all of us maybe should be better about strengthening our body and doing the things that to take care of ourselves, strengthening our body, right? And I consider it self-care. Just like you give your mental health self-care, you have to give your body self-care so that you can continue to do the things that you want to do for the rest of your life. So that's key,
And I'll just be honest, because you're a physical therapist, we're used to working with, 50 and older, 60 and older, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the exercises that you have are really good for people in that age. So if you are around that age, Mike's kind of the YouTube channel that you guys should go to. So check him out. I will put his channel in the description down below. And you have a bunch of really good playlists, right? Like balance playlists.
Yeah, I have playlists on strengthening, if you struggle with mobility issues, balance and stability. I know that's a big post-surgery. A lot of my audience has had knee and hip replacements, and I get a lot of views and a lot of people really attracted to that specific surgery. It seems as we get older, many of us are having surgery, so knowing how to recover from those and continue to jump back into doing the things you love to do. So various playlists, check it out.
And even prepare for surgery.
Prepare for surgery,
right? Because that's something, right? We always said in physical therapy, if you prepare for your surgery, you're going to recover so much better.
Outcomes will be better,
right?
Definitely.
And so that's where Mike can come in and help you guys as well. All right, so we are going to use me, right? as your model. I shouldn't say model, as an example, maybe a poor example of body mechanics and the things that you shouldn't do, which I know, I'm completely aware, do as I say, not as I do. What would you say, the top thing is that gardeners should worry about for injury prevention? What would your first bit of advice be for someone who wants to prevent injury when they're gardening?
I would say body mechanics is probably the biggest issue that we see in various different hobbies. So when it comes to gardening, even though I don't garden a lot myself, my wife does quite a bit. But you know, a lot of people get caught in positions that they're not familiar with. They're caught in, you know, reaching over the garden bed a lot, bending over, using their lower back muscles, which is often where people, you know, have injuries. And just learning how to kind of maneuver their body with whatever environment that they're confined with. So let me ask you, Janey, do you ever have to lift heavy things?
Well, I try and get Jason to do it, but when he's unavailable, I got to lift like bags of soil. That's probably the worst, you know.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, so why don't we go over maybe some techniques on how you can pick up some maybe heavy soil bags a little bit safely for your body.
Yeah? That sounds good. All right, here's my soil. Now, I usually try and buy the 1 cubic foot bags because they're smaller and easier, but these are cheaper. So how can I pick these up properly without hurting myself?
So do you have a general idea of kind of how many pounds or weight these soil bags that you buy?
What would you think? 20 pounds? 30 pounds? You think 40 pounds?
So 40 pounds. So you're talking 40 pounds that people are having to pick up just actually subconsciously. They just people are not used to just picking things up without even thinking about it. So this is why very crucial that you need to start being intentional about how you are performing these body mechanics. So if we have a large bag like this, the main thing is keeping your body close to whatever object that you're picking up. So that's the first thing, is staying close to the bag. So we'll have you step closer to the bag.
Okay.
So as you can see here, Janey here has her feet separated, and what she's doing here is now we're creating a wide base of support. A wide base of support is going to give us better balance and going to help us be able to pick up the object by standing closer to it. So the best thing that we can do when we're picking up heavy soil bags or heavy objects is that we want to utilize our leg muscles. Our leg muscles are much more powerful and stronger than our small lower back muscles. The mistake that I often see people make is they'll kind of have their feet very narrow, just like this, and they reach down immediately by rounding their lower back, and that can cause a lot of strain for people.
I'll demonstrate because I do it all the time.
And you can see a lot of lower back muscles being used there, and you may be able to get away with it for quite some time, but all it takes is that one incident that just throws your back out. Okay, so we want her to stand with a wider base of support, and we want her to bend by using her legs and dropping down, and she's going to lift up the soil bag and keep it close to her body, okay? What we don't want to do, see how she just hugged it? That is the perfect technique that we want to do. Yes, she's going to get a little dirty, but hopefully you guys are wearing just...
We're used to that.
Yes, you guys are used to that, right?
Yeah.
But what we don't want to do is her carrying it out in front of you. Can you bring it out in front of you?
Barely.
Now it requires all of her back muscles and a strong core. Go ahead and let it go. Go ahead and put it down. To keep her from really being pulled forward. So we talked about a wide base of support. We talked about staying close to whatever object that you're going to pick up. And most importantly, when you're carrying it, we talked about keeping it close to your body to prevent any unnecessary stress along the spine there.
All right, so I've brought Mike over to one of the areas that I haven't weeded in a while. Don't look too closely, Mike. But I do want to say weeding is an activity that I definitely notice my body starts complaining after a while. So what are your tips for doing things like bending over garden beds or weeding or anything like that?
Yeah, I have a lot of tips here because I have a ton of weeds at my own house that I have to, get down and pull. So
you're familiar with it.
Very familiar with this. So the main thing here is, if you have sensitive knees or maybe it's uncomfortable getting on your knees, you can tell here that we have these pads. This is by Gorilla Grip. These are super soft and firm.
Yeah.
And so definitely have some sort of padding that you can use to get down on your knees.
Okay.
Now, what's going to happen is essentially you're going to be kind of trying to cover a wide range, right? And you really want to make sure that you keep the pulling or the technique of the pulling of the weeds in front of you, and you're not caught in rotating your spine and your lower back and over excessively reaching over.
Reaching for this weed right here, that's not the right thing to do.
No, you want to really try to get as close as you can. So if that means you need to move a little closer to the weed, you're going to have better body mechanics by staying as close as you can. Now, I understand that in some circumstances, you don't have that control to be able to get you know, into right next to it. But we're looking for, in most case scenarios, best case scenarios, best practices, you really want to stay as close as possible. The biggest thing is the rotation. That's where a lot of people get caught up, is if you can show us maybe rotating to the left too much. She's getting a lot of stress on the lower spine. If she were to do this plant or pull a weed here, it's probably best for her to just move her whole body so that when she's pulling, everything is in front of her rather than having to, you know, rotate her spine. So that's one of the biggest keys there.
So what you're saying is it's better for your body to stop, move the pad, change positions, stop, move the pad, change positions, rather than twisting and reaching.
Absolutely. And actually, you know, that it's the biggest thing here is, you brought up a good point, is it's naturally just gives you these little micro breaks and these times to reset your body so that you're not having to just stay in one position for long periods of time.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these are my garden beds. What do you think?
Absolutely amazing. For one, you know, I've kind of walked around the garden a bit and I've seen some beds that have been quite low, and I figured, how would I get in positions to do a task there? But what I love about these is, for one, it's going to improve your body mechanics drastically because the bed is higher. You know, you're going to be performing a lot of activities where you're not having to really bend over as far. And so I love these beds. What kind of beds are these?
These are Vigo beds.
Vigo beds.
Yeah, they're called Vigo. They come in 3 different sizes, and this is the tallest size. So
these are amazing. So this is a great start. We can kind of demonstrate what we're going to show you here. So where do you want to go, Janey?
Well, let's just pretend like I'm planting something right here.
Okay, perfect. So the nice thing about these garden beds is she can stay really close. So she's already going to be put in a good position for her spine and her hips. Now, just like we talked about with the previous task, we want to stay as close as we can, and we want to minimize any rotation. So if she's working on this specific area, she's going to be in front of that area working. Now, what she just did here is very important. We call this in the physical therapy world hip hinging. We're hinging at our hips and not at our lower back, okay? So she's just going to have a slight bend in her knees, but most of the bending is going to come from her hips versus her lower back. So
let me show you the wrong way, because I'm sure you all have seen me do it on my channel a million times. But this, right, Mike?
Yeah, so what people tend to do is they keep the legs kind of locked out, and they're just kind of doing this sort of thing. So their butt is just popping out, and they're just kind of...
I know, you've seen me do that.
So use your legs, use your hips, because those muscles are a lot stronger, and just bend your knees slightly. You don't have to go down into a squat, just slight bend in the knees, and this will allow you to just have better body mechanics with your lower back and your hips while you're performing any type of activity here at a raised flower bed here.
So hip hinging.
Hip hinging is key, and yeah, definitely there's some exercises that we can show you to help practice this, but that is going to be a key technique to utilize. So Janey, I think the best part about this video is not just going over body mechanics, but I know you've been telling me that a lot of your audience has been asking about specific exercises. What you think would be some of the top exercises that maybe some of the people at home should be incorporating on a weekly basis, right?
Yes. I've been getting emails and comments and DMs of people asking for kind of like a exercise gardening routine. So some of that kind of stuff would be fantastic.
Perfect. So when we think about gardening and some of the activities that we just went around the garden to do, we notice that a lot of you guys are spending a ton of time bent over, right? So
seed starting.
Yeah. So, you know, our shoulders are getting very tight, and our chest is getting very tight, and maybe our neck, because we're in this kind of forward head posture.
Yes.
And so the first stretch that I want to go over that can improve not only posture, but can give your shoulders a little break is what I love to call a butterfly stretch. And essentially, I want you to do this with me, Janey. You can do this sitting or standing, but you're essentially going to place your hands behind your neck, just like so. And you're going to take a deep breath into your nose, and you're going to pull your elbows back, and you're going to squeeze those shoulder blades. And what you're going to feel is a lot of stretching of the front of the chest here, And some of you might be like, oh, that's kind of difficult. Yeah. But if you continue to practice this, these are things that you will get better with, just like you do with gardening and all the other skills that you're learning.
I can feel it.
Right, right. So many of the research says that, you know, stretching for over 30 seconds, so I like to say between 30 to 60 seconds.
Oh, really? Okay.
Is the sweet spot. So you can perform maybe 2 or 3 repetitions of this, and maybe this is causing you pain or it's very uncomfortable. I sometimes will start people off with 10 or 20 seconds.
Okay.
And then as they improve, they can hold the stretch for a bit longer.
Okay.
How does that feel there?
Great. Do I do this before gardening or after gardening?
I would say if you're going to be especially doing the activity where you're kind of slunched over, like we were pulling weeds earlier, I would say before you can do 1 repetition to kind of reset your posture.
Okay.
And then after you're done, maybe that's 2 or 3 hours, maybe do it another 1 or 2 times. Okay. Yeah. So sporadically throughout the day. I'm not saying you have to specifically set out 1 session for exercise. I like the term exercise snacking, where in between your breaks, you're implementing these activities so that you can kind of, you're in it for the long term, right? You can spend a whole day without having these aches and pains.
I like that better, the snacking, because I'm way more likely to do that than to be like, okay, I'm going to exercise now. You know what I mean? So totally. I like that. I will definitely do that.
The next thing that we, you know, you gardeners really get into is, because you're having to stoop over or reach further or bend down and pick heavy objects, is the lower back. Yes. We hear that commonly. Yes. You know, my lower back is strained. People have to take weeks off, which we do not like doing, having to stop what we love to do, right? So, you know, I wanted to show you maybe a stretch that you can do for your lower back, and you know, if you want more information on specific low backs, I have a video on my channel that goes over 5 different lower back exercises. So
great video.
If, you know, if you're someone that is dealing with low back pain, go check that out. But in the meantime, this is one of the stretches that I talk about on this video. And so essentially one of the biggest muscles in the lower back, we call it quadratus lumborum. And I'm not here to get all medical terminology on you for y'all, but it really just kind of, you have 2 of those large muscles, and it kind of runs from the mid back here and then travels all the way into the pelvis, or what most people would call the hips there. So you have 2 big ones. And go ahead and have a seat. When you get tight, when someone says I have tight lower back muscles, those are the major muscles that typically get tight when we're doing a lot of sitting. So this stretch is going to be kind of working on that specific area and targeting it. So one thing you can do, it's just kind of what we call a lateral chunkling. So you're going to be sitting in a chair, and let's go towards our right here. So one hand is going to hold the bottom of the chair, and we want you to be on a chair that's very secure. And with this top hand, you're going to reach up towards the sky, and then you're going to slightly kind of just laterally bend or side bend your body to that side. What Janey's going to feel is all the stretching in her shoulders and all the stretching in her lower back here.
Right.
Okay, so this is going to be a great stretch. Once again, you know, 30 to 60 seconds would be appropriate. And we want to do both sides. We don't just want to do one side. So she's also going to be doing the other side.
Oh man, this side's tight.
And this feels great, especially because this one is probably best done sitting, because now she can really lock in her hand underneath the chair. And now she can get a good stretch along the right side of her body there.
That's now, so funny. There's such a difference between each side.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I have to. I gotta stretch.
Yeah, and I'll say this. You know, most people have imbalances, so you'll find that one side is tighter than the other, and that's completely normal. Don't worry. But it just means that you might want to spend extra time on that side. Okay. Right side. One more that I want to go over for the lower back, which I think is very good. This is one of my favorites. Is Janey, we're going to have you scoot at the edge of the chair, and we call this a seated windmill, and you'll see in a bit. So she's going to take her left hand and she's going to reach it towards the ground, and now she's going to take her right hand and she's going to rotate and reach towards the sky there. So she's getting some good rotation through the upper back, stretching out her shoulders as well as her lower back muscles. All right, we're going to do the other side now, Janey. Reaching towards the ground, reach up, feeling a nice whole body stretch there, and also doing a lot of good for her hips. And then she can go ahead and sit back up and take a break. How did that feel?
I just Yeah. I never, my lower back never hurt me until I started gardening. And then I started feeling it. And I'm doing these and I'm like, yeah, I got to pay more attention to these.
I'm going to hold you accountable.
No.
All right? So,
yes. Because you really will.
So we've gone over the shoulders and our posture. We've gone over the lower back. The last piece that often many people forget about is their balance. So we often see people walking outdoors on varied surface. I think someone had an injury that they told me about. Can you remind me what happened exactly? I saw some video footage, but what exactly happened?
So I was blowing off, a surface, and I stepped on a rock, and I twisted, and I fell flat on the ground and hurt my foot really bad and had to have surgery.
I saw the famous boot. It was very beautiful.
I know.
You still managed to do what you love to do.
I still gardened. I still gardened a lot with that boot on.
So that's why we give our bodies self-care, and you take care of yourself by doing these exercises to prevent injuries like this. So
do as I say, not as I do.
So let's go and stand up. Okay. And I want to make sure we get our full body in the camera view here. And we're going to use the chair here, and I'll explain why. Okay. So one of the best balance exercises that I love to give to my patients is a single leg balance. And why? There's a lot of research on, the risk of fall risk and really how beneficial, being able to balance on one leg can be for someone. Okay. And we have a chair here specifically because this will allow you, maybe if you can't balance on your own for 10 seconds, that's the key kind of the guideline we're looking for, is you have a chair or support to start practicing this exercise. So essentially, she's going to practice.
Remember, I was just injured, so my balance is terrible right
She's going to be challenged now, right? She's going to basically shift all of her weight to one foot and balance by lifting the opposite leg off the ground here, okay? So she shifts her weight to her left leg. She's balancing. She can use her hand on the chair. She can use fingertips, or if she's feeling really confident, she can completely let go and balance. Now, go ahead and grab on. When you're practicing this at home, you definitely want to be close to maybe the wall or an area so that if you do kind of happen to fall over, you have something behind you so you're not really injuring yourself. But here, the support of the chair can really help her out because now she can feel confident that she can challenge herself, but at the same time, feel safe as well. So we're looking for, at least 10 to 20 seconds by practicing this. And just like I implement on my channel with all of my exercises, you have to train both sides, not one side. You have to do both sides. So let's see what the other side looks like. And what does that feel like for you?
Yeah, so my right side's better than my left side.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which makes sense.
Yeah. Very good.
Left side was my injury.
Yeah.
So 30 seconds of this every day. What did you say? 10 seconds.
I said the goal you should be able to do 10 to 20 seconds on each leg.
Okay.
But when you're practicing, you could surely benefit maybe 2 or 3 reps on each side up to 30 seconds. Okay. So 30 seconds is good to practice. But eventually we want to say, okay, can I do it 10 to 20 seconds on each leg? That tells me, okay, my balance is going somewhere.
And I'm going to be safe.
Yes.
And not trip on a rock.
Absolutely.
And absolutely. Have surgery. Knock on wood.
Yeah.
So would you would use this as part of your snack routine?
Exercise snacking.
Exercise snacking.
That is key.
Yeah. Yep. You got to trademark that. Exercise snacking.
I know. So on my channel, I do have various other balance exercises. If you're really into like, hey, I want to get my balance better, I do have a playlist on there it's specifically called Balance and Stability. So check that out if you do. But I'm hoping that with these 3 exercises, you guys can at least get started with some self-care for your body.
Yes.
So that
not just focusing on the garden,
right.
Focusing on you too.
Absolutely.
So maybe we can write the exercises in the description down below, just in case everybody has questions about them. And then again, I will put Move with Dr. Mike. That's Mike's YouTube channel, and I'll link that down below. And just make sure you subscribe to it because he comes out with new videos often, right?
Yes.
And then you're open to suggestions, right?
Absolutely. So I try to put out anywhere between 1 to 2 videos a week, but I'm really open to suggestions that you guys have. When Janey here asked me about the gardening, even though I'm not very familiar, I feel like I have a lot of information to share. So regardless of what you want to learn about, I'm happy to provide you guys with my professional input and teach you guys maybe a tip or two that you guys can learn throughout the day.
So if you guys are having a difficulty with something specific in gardening, we kind of stayed pretty general right here, right in this video today, but something, you know, a couple of you guys have emailed me specifically about ankles and shoulders and things like that. So head over to Mike's channel, ask him questions, and he'll make a video for you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. I hope you all enjoyed this, and I hope you all have a chance to get in your garden today.